Hello, Sarah, darling.
Oh my god.
I laid a little spell on them.
The scariest book you will ever read.
It's alive! It's alive!
There's a fucking ghost on the front lawn.
Do you guys know what smut is?
Put your hands on the headboard.
You have bewitched me, body and soul.
I need him biblically. I need him in a way that is concerning to feminism.
A spooky gothic ghost story.
You'll come out or I'll break down the door!
Am I devious? Yes, I think I am.
So let's play a little game together.
We will feast on your bones.
It's cool not growing old. I like being the eternal stud.
I'll be right back.
What are you? Werewolf.
I'm a vampire.
Mine.
I'm going to correct that attitude right now.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
After dark.
And we're live.
And we're live.
It's live now. It won't be live when you listen to it.
In fact, it'll probably be like 6 months in the future.
Ooh.
Hi.
Hi.
Ooh. Okay.
Cheers.
Cheers. What are you drinking tonight?
I am drinking a Malbec from the
Ooh.
California region.
Fancy.
What are you drinking?
Sun Cruiser, which is like tea and vodka mixed together, which I actually hate. I don't like Long Island iced teas or any of that stuff, but my husband gets, or Jared gets, free beer at
That is a nice perk.
yeah, so like they give him stuff that nobody will buy like these, and they just sit in our fridge for 6 months till somebody says, oh man, I think I'm gonna drink that tonight. I mean, it's never anything that we want. Well, that's not true. Sometimes he gets some kind
Vegas
of beer.
coffee chooses.
Right? I love free shit, so
Hey,
send it my
free
way.
shit is free shit.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Welcome to Bookmates After Dark, where we discuss all books that are smutty, wicked, spooky, and horrific. We are diving right in today with the novel Pestilence by Laura Thalassa, book 1 of the Four Horsemen series.
Ooh, look at you. You're so cute.
I know. Thank you.
We should tell everybody, I mean, maybe for the people who are here, what we're doing. Because it's gonna get naughty.
It's gonna get naughty. It's gonna get dark.
Naughty. It's gonna get dark. We're gonna take on like some smutty, spicy stuff, some dark romance stuff. Maybe that the everyday reader doesn't really appreciate, because as much as we appreciate a good, solid 5-star read, we can equally appreciate the opposite of that.
Oh yeah. Oh, and also horror books. Anything that's like kind of dark and twisted or smutty, we're gonna be doing on here, because not everybody wants to hear that.
But you do, because you're here, so let's dig in.
Let's dig in. I'm so excited.
You're a dork.
All
I
right.
love you. Okay, so Pestilence.
Pestilence.
This book is something else.
No, this book is fun. If you have not read these books, I recommend that you read them, because they are a good time. And that's I always am just in for a good time when I'm opening a smutty book. I just want to have fun.
I will say that, I mean, you started this and you got me into them, but I will say that if you hadn't have been the one to recommend these to me, and we hadn't specifically had the idea to do it for this, I probably would have DNF'd Pestilence, honestly.
And you would have been so sad that you didn't make it to War.
Like, definitely War was like a bajillion times better. And you know, in the reread, I actually did enjoy Pestilence more than I did the first time. But honestly, I think I would have enjoyed it so much if it were anyone but Sara. Sara is the worst main female character. She is so annoying. I cannot with her.
And let's jump into that.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. We're going to talk about the entire book, front to back. Nothing's off limits. This is the disclaimer anyway. We're going to talk about all of the aspects of the book. Nothing's off limits. So
we also talk about other things, usually in between with our sidebarring. And we cuss, we talk about triggering stuff. So expect that.
No holds barred. You've been warned, and if you haven't read the book, then maybe hit pause, go read it, and then come back and enjoy it with us. Or if you want to know what all the fuss is about, just keep listening and enjoy our take on it.
All right. Let's talk a little bit about what this book is about for you readers.
Sum up synopsis.
Yes, for you readers that haven't read this, that are just here for the podcast because you're fannies. Oh, I like that. They're fannies. You're our fannies.
Oh my God, I
but
want to
we
spit my wine out.
Oops. But we've got Sara Burns, the cringy firefighter who loves poetry.
Whose name is Burns.
Burns. I love that.
She's a firefighter whose last name is Burns. It's so bad.
She loves poetry, and she's obsessed with Edgar Allan Poe, of course, just like in our last book, Weird, the teacher.
That is weird.
Isn't that ironic?
I don't know what timeline this will make it into the ether, but like we just finished the teacher in our mainline timeline.
And so you're in the future. Do you want to make any predictions for the future? Do you think you will like Onyx Storm when it comes out? There's a great one.
I think it'll either pleasantly surprise me or it will be as bad of a dumpster fire as Iron Flame was.
I think
because again, it's a really quick turnaround, and we didn't really see any sort of development in Iron Flame, so I don't have high expectations for it, but I'm here to be pleasantly surprised.
I think I'll hate it. That's my prediction.
Yeah, I was trying to be like a little like nice about it. Like it's gonna fucking suck, and we're gonna roast the shit out of it. It's gonna be a blast.
No, you know what? I almost prefer reading the bad books because there's more to talk about.
I mean, so much fun roasting books with you.
I know, right?
It's our favorite.
But yeah, it's just an icebreaker. Loosen up. Okay, so we have Sara Burns and we have Pestilence, the massive, giant, regenerating hunk, right?
Mm-hmm.
Pestilence is
basically
always
Thor.
Oh, I don't know about that. Sort of, I guess, like physically.
Like he's like got the blonde hair, blue eyes, stupid amount of muscles, and he's a little bit dumb.
Yeah,
and doesn't understand human things. Like that.
Well, he's always existed in an ethereal state, but that's not the form that he's in this book. He's never had a human body or the ability to feel human emotions previously, or physical stimulation, if you know what I mean. Wink, wink. But now he's in human form because it's the apocalypse.
Yeah. Lita, take the wheel. Lita, take the wheel.
All right, the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse are figures in the book of Revelation, if you're not aware. The last book in the New Testament of the Bible. The book of Revelation refers to what will come about in the future in reference to the end of times for humanity. It was authored by the Apostle John of Patmos and generally regarded as dating back to 95 AD or AD 95, depending on which way you like to say it. Similar allusions are contained in the Old Testament regarding the books of Ezekiel and Zechariah, which was written about 6 centuries prior to the book of Revelation. But those are the times that it's mentioned, the Four Horsemen are mentioned in the Bible. In John's Revelation, the first horseman rides a white horse, carries a bow, and is given a crown as a figure of conquest, perhaps invoking pestilence or the Antichrist. This book is lightly based on biblical themes from the book of Revelation, rather inspired by the Bible, but not necessarily a play-by-play.
Oh, I wasn't sure what to expect from this book, but I was expecting there to be a lot more religious themes and overtones, and very like, I will devour the earth because God the Lord said so, and fire and especially given our history of like being in that culture with like end times, and like we read the Left Behind series when we were kids. I think I was expecting it to kind of be more religious, and I was glad that it wasn't.
Well, yeah, I think it was just the right amount. And like they do refer to, I am the god of Abada, or I am not. Well, they never actually say they're God. They always refer to God as like another being.
Yeah, it's
but
more of like an abstract concept than like a person or entity almost.
Right. And I also thought that it had a lot of City of Angels kind of elements. Have you ever seen that with Nicolas Cage and Meg Ryan?
Forever ago. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But he's like the angel of death in that movie. And he decides to become human to be with this woman. And he's never felt physical intimacy. And like it's very virginal. And it's kind of the same theme with Pestilence. Not all of the horsemen are virgins, by the way, starting off the stories. But Pestilence is. Pestilence has he's never even been able to get close to anybody because they just fucking die. And we'll get into that. Let's talk about the synopsis.
Okay.
You want me to go?
Go.
All right, I'm going to set the scene. Our story starts in year 5 of the Horsemen. When the Horsemen arrived, they came together in the middle of a great storm, and then shortly after disappeared. As soon as they arrive, God destroys the ability to use technology for humans. And then after that, they slowly start to come one at a time. And Pestilence is the first horseman to reappear 5 years after they initially arrive onto Earth. He brings with him a plague that has a 0% survival rate, and everyone who comes within a certain distance of him is automatically infected. He rides a horse slowly through cities, infecting and killing people within. Humanity calls this plague the messianic fever. The body becomes fatigued and feverish, breaking out in boils, blisters, and lumps that eventually cover the entire body and burst open with infection that causes necrosis, or the rotting of a body while it still lives. This illness takes several days to kill the carrier and is excruciatingly painful. We begin with Sara Burn in Whistler, a town north of Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. She draws straws with a group of friends in order to decide who will stay behind as Pestilence approaches the town, and attempt to kill Pestilence as he approaches in order to save everyone in the town, save their families, their friends. She loses the draw and therefore is planning on sacrificing her life to the plague in order to stop Pestilence. And that's where we begin.
Well done, my goodman.
Oh, thank you.
You're a gentleman in a scholar.
Ah, and a scholar gentleman. The gentleman.
The gentleman.
The gentleman.
Gentleman. I feel like we've said that in at least 1 or 2 episodes. That might need to be like just an ongoing thing at some point.
It is an ongoing thing. It's just been an inside joke.
I mean, specifically, like I feel like once an episode, I'm just going to give you like, there it is. The gentleman. If nobody gets the reference, it's from How I Met Your Mother.
Oh, yes.
We quote it all the time. Anyway, we're getting off.
I know. We're way off. We're like, we are the sidebar.
Back to Pestilence.
If you want to talk about
How I Met
this
Your
book,
Mother. If you haven't watched How I Met Your Mother.
We only have 5 hours tonight. Let's get moving.
What was it about this book for you that kept you reading it? Because I wouldn't have finished it, honest. Well, I might have finished it.
I loved the environment. I love that it started off so quickly. Like, you're meeting Pestilence within the first 2 chapters. I mean, it's just as like, boom, you're there. And of course, I love a godlike virginal hunk that is ruthless and hilarious. I thought Pestilence was absolutely hilarious. That was one thing. Just the way that he talks like a caveman.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying he reminded me of Thor. Like in the Thor movie, he's just like, "Bring me another drink, wench." Like he's just so oblivious to like to like human things, and they're like, "Oh my god, what are you talking about?" I did think he was funny. My hang up came in with Sarah. Like I just found her to be just so obnoxious, and when I was reading it at the time, I feel like I just didn't have the patience to even like appreciate how funnily cringy she is. And I was just like, ugh.
I know. You were annoyed. Like, I cannot tell you
Super
how many
annoying.
times I literally laughed out loud reading this book. I mean, just busted out
Oh,
a burst of laughter,
me
bursting.
too. Me too. Me too. But I was just like, there were some days I was just like, this fucking, like, she's so annoying. I can't with her.
I just thought this book was nothing but fun. You know, especially for like you and me with all of our Bible knowledge and like our church history. It was just it was a fun read.
How blasphemous of us to be doing this now.
Oh, I know.
In case it's in any way unclear, we are not in the church anymore.
Well, no.
Which is not to say that we judge anyone who is religious or goes to church. Like, not saying that at all. Church trauma. Church trauma.
We basically lived at a church for about 10 years.
That's how we met. That's our origin story.
And my mother worked there. So I was homeschooled on and off throughout my life. So I spent a lot of time at the church, staring at the walls.
Okay.
To go back to what I was saying earlier, but Pestilence, blah, blah, has always existed, but not in this form. And I have a reference for that on page 215. Pestilence says, "I am Pestilence," as though by page 215 we didn't know that. And my memory is longer than recorded history. It is even longer than man. I came before him, and, dear Sarah, I will outlive his end. End quote. What is the matter with you?
You're being so cute and funny tonight.
I'm excited. We've been sitting on this book for we read this book before we even decided to do the podcast.
That's true. But when I was first reading it, Sarah was just like, she just was so annoying to me. Like, she would say things like, "Oh my God, is Homeboy serious?"
Yeah, her inner monologue is
so. I just felt like her character was a mess because, okay, she's supposed to be a firefighter. Like, she's kind of supposed to be like this badass, but she's so like, "Oh my God, ew, is he serious? Screw this motherfuckery." Like, that is an actual line from the book.
Okay, aren't firefighters supposed to be super fucking strong too? Like, they're supposed to be able to carry someone down a ladder. Like, don't they have to fucking do that?
Right. I just feel like her character, her inner monologue, the way that she was, nothing about her character matched. Or and then she was also equally obsessed with Shakespeare and Poe, and she was constantly quoting Shakespeare and stuff like that. She's like, "Is Homeboy serious? I'm gonna fucking quote some Shakespeare right now because I'm a classic lit bitch right here." She says that. "I'm a classic lit bitch right here, people."
And that's so funny because we were literally just talking in the teacher podcast that we did about you were saying, I wasn't saying, but you were saying how cliche it is for any character to be obsessed with poetry and Poe. Well, and then it's just immediately but it's immediately in this book. Right after you say that. It just cracked me up.
There was so much of her character that just didn't even match itself. And I think that as much as I was there for the concept of everything, the whole time I was just like, why would Pestilence fall in love with anybody like her? She's the most obnoxious woman.
Can we talk about the fact that she's a firefighter? Okay, so she understands like the seriousness of bad burns and like how painful it is to be burned, but then she tries to kill Pestilence by setting him on fire, which is like the most savage thing. Like she's like, I'm gonna shoot you and then I'm gonna set you on fire. Like, why wouldn't she just shoot him in the face or something? Like, put him out of his misery. And he's like, please don't. Like, he's like burning so badly he can't even talk anymore, and he's like, mercy. And she's like,
and she's like, have twins emotion of like, oh my god, fuck this horseman, I'm gonna kill him. And then he's like, oh please, and she's like, I'm horrified and I'm already traumatized by what have I done. I'm just gonna sit here and watch though.
Like, so savage to be a firefighter and then choose to kill someone that way. I mean, like, in my mind I was like, Jesus, she just sets him on, like.
Well, you know, those like firefighters are either like super care about putting fires out, or they're like secret arsonists and they like have that like weird like obsession.
Oh,
with
is that
fire.
how firefighters are?
Yeah. With my
I don't think that's true.
Knowledge.
But I doubt that firefighters are like, I love to watch it burn. They're trying to save people from the inside of the buildings and stuff and put the fire out. They don't want to watch it burn.
I'm just saying, like, there have been like, I've watched a lot of Dateline, okay? There have been like lots of cases where like the firefighter ends up being like the arsonist or something crazy like that. I don't know.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I need to watch more Dateline.
I mean, you could.
Sounds awful. Probably
it's
won't
terrible.
do that. I think it's really lucky that this book came out in 2018, pre-pandemic.
Oh, right.
Because I'm not sure it would have hit so good after
well, maybe
a
that
real
was
plague.
Maybe that was part of it for me. It was too close because it was definitely after COVID that we read it.
Yeah, I liked it though. And calling somebody Pestilence every 2 seconds is absolutely fucking hilarious. Like saying the name Pestilence. I mean, you sound like a parrot. Like,
I'm actually quite surprised that Sara didn't call him like P-Town or something, because
that is so. Or what?
Trixie
Skills.
Oh my god,
that's what she named the horse. I was like, oh my god, that's so.
It's so stupid. It's the most cringy thing I've ever. And he's like, "What did you just call my horse?" And she's like, "He needs a name. I'm naming him Trixie Skills."
And it's a boy. Is it a boy horse?
It's a boy horse.
What? Weird.
Like, what?
It's so weird.
Where did she come up with that shit? It's so weird.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what she was going for with Sara. I will say that I think after reading all the books that Sara is the most annoying out of all of the women that we encounter.
Yeah.
Because each book is a different horseman and has a different female protagonist. And I think Sara is definitely the most annoying out of the four, like in her head.
Oh yeah, I actually quite enjoyed Miriam, but that's not this podcast.
Yes, that's the second one. And by the way, if you have read this book and you're like DNF, like I'm not finishing it, let me tell you, they are worth it. This is probably this one. I liked Pestilence, but
I liked parts.
I would
of
say
it.
my
I just
least,
really hated Sara.
Yeah, I would say it's my least favorite out of the four.
But also Pestilence is my favorite horseman, and Sarah's my least favorite female main character. So it's like kind of frustrating. Yeah, because like you said, like Pestilence, he's like so sweet and kind of romantic and more of like tender hearted, especially towards the end. The others are much more brutal. So like I thought it was like really, like watching that kind of enemies to lovers was like super cute.
Well, like I was saying, like Pestilence, he's the virgin. Well, I guess, I mean, we'll get into that in another one, but he's not the only virgin, I guess.
It just didn't make sense for someone like Pestilence to fall in love with an obnoxious girl like Sara. Like, what was the appeal there? I don't know.
The appeal there is that he's never talked to any other woman but Sara. I mean, he's never saved anyone other than Sara. Because Pestilence has the ability to
God
not infect or to heal. He has the power to heal, and he has the power to choose who he infects, but he chooses to infect everyone. And Sara is the first one that he hasn't infected, and the first woman that he's gotten to know.
But he was
boobies.
Fully boobs. He was fully planning on killing her though, and like God like gave him that like angel symbol, like the bat signal on her tent, and was like, just don't kill her though.
Oh. I love it. Pestilence describing himself to Sara, trying to explain to her like what he is, who he is. I have a reference for that on page 182. How do I know English? Or wield a bow and arrow? Why do I wear breeches and a breastplate? And look like a human? I, like God, have been fashioned into something that you can understand. So obviously God in these books has chosen, this is part of Revelation, part of the Apocalypse. He's chosen to bring them into human form to either judge humanity or something else, which is, I think, what it turns into is something else. Because I actually think that this is a lesson almost for the horsemen and not really for humanity, which is a terrible way to go about that, by the way.
Yeah,
good job, God.
This is kind of what I mean, like when the religious aspect is actually not really that present, other than the fact that they're horsemen and it's part of the like biblical apocalypse. Other than that, there's kind of like what's the plan? Does he have to ride his horse through? Because that also
are there rules?
But then at one point he's like, "Well, I don't have to be near them to infect anyone." I'm like, then why are you spending time just riding along tricks and scales, going to city after city?
Because
infect everyone.
Well, I think he's just trying to do his job, because obviously he's anticipating that when his job is complete, the next horseman will take over. So he's not wanting to kill everyone. He just wants to ride through and judge humanity and figure out if he thinks they're redeemable.
Also, like, isn't it this one where he was like, you're not the first person to try to kill me. Like, for someone who's like a big badass horseman, he like gets attacked and like maimed and killed like all the time.
Well, maybe that's part of it, because Pestilence, for those of you who haven't read this, Pestilence cannot be killed. His body will regenerate.
So even when she burned him alive to a freaking crisp, or if they cut his arm off, he'll just grow it back and he'll regenerate.
Well, he won't. Oh, well, I mean, even his horse will regenerate.
Mm-hmm.
And if his armor and his weapons will reappear on him over time, just like magically, like inserts sound here, magical sound, and he's just I'm Pestilence again.
Wing. One thing maybe this was because we were in the COVID era, there wasn't enough animosity or hatred for the horseman when she's like literally being forced to watch people slowly die, like little kids and families. It's like there's like a weird like the horror of it is like super downplayed, and then she's like, this fucker, like, and then she'll say, oh my God, you are such a creeper. And like little children are in the next room, like literally dying of plague in the most like horrifically painful way possible. And she's just kind of eye rolling the guy. Like, and as a firefighter who's like, whole job and purpose in life is to save people and rescue them. Like the way that he's like forcing her to watch these things.
Oh,
like,
and they're usually firefighters or paramedics. They're also, so they're trained on how to save people. In fact, a lot of times firefighters will show up before the ambulance.
Oh yeah,
because their response time is faster.
Yeah, so I feel like it's kind of like downplayed the actual horror, and I know that, and this is not meant to be a dark romance though, but it actually is pretty dark when you think about that, the fact that he makes her go through all that and then literally tortures her, like physically tortures her, tying her up, dragging her, on tricksy skills through the dirt until like her arms are dislocating and she's like literally dying, and he's like healing her.
Suffering is for the living.
Please.
Well, that's like a current theme. Like he says that constantly. Suffering is for the living, and you're living like, and you're suffering.
Yeah. So he basically spends like the first half of the book physically torturing her and mentally torturing her, making her watch him torture and kill humanity. And then when she's near death, heals her so that he can hurt her some more. And it very quickly goes from like, but he's so hot, I really shouldn't like him. Let me pop my shoulder back into place.
Oh yeah, and he takes her along for his death ride or whatever, to teach her a lesson, right? Like it's a lesson. Weird, you bad girl. He's gonna show her mercy to punish her.
So it's like one of those, and I think I said this in one of our main episodes. You really just like have to not think about how like truly problematic this whole concept is, to just kind of like embrace the enemies to lovers thing. Whereas I feel like in the other books, it's not as it's more understandable, like them falling in love and the journey of it, I feel like is handled better in the future books.
I mean, I just ate this stuff up, it's I just love this kind of stuff, like this, like, and he's like so gigantic, he like towers over her, like he's huge, he's like massive. Also, he wants to keep her on his journey or whatever as a message to other people not to mess with him. Like, look at what I did to punish this girl who tried to kill me. But he also doesn't tell anybody. Like, like nobody knows. Like, I don't understand. Like, because he doesn't tell anybody. Like,
because it's funny because like towards the end, when he encounters like a new city and they are anticipating his arrival, and so they show up basically bearing gifts, and those gifts being women. They're like, here. Like, oh, we've noticed you carrying around a girl. And he's like, yeah, so? And they're like, well, here. And they're like, here are these.
Here's more women for you.
Who are also virgins, if they please you. And he's like, what the fuck would I do with them? Why would I? And he's like so dense that he doesn't even get it.
He's like, well, it doesn't really matter. You're all going to die because you're next to me.
He's like solemn voice, like, why would I have need for them?
Foolish humans. I love the way he talks. Like when he gives her food, he's like, here's your sustenance.
And she's like, is he serious? This is like a packet of ketchup.
Okay. Oh, I made a
mustard.
list. I made a list. Okay. Things Pestilence. Here's my list. Things Pestilence tries to feed Sarah. Are you ready? I wrote it all down.
Funny. Yay.
Okay. A jam sandwich. Like a sandwich just with jam. A piece of bread with a jar of anchovies. A bottle of Worcestershire sauce. That was what he was like, here you go. Here's a bottle of Worcestershire. Eat your sustenance, bitch.
And she's like, what am I?
Cold canned artichokes. Ew. It's the worst. Mustard with uncooked pasta. That was another one. That was my last one.
Crunchy and delicious. And she's like, I don't think famine understands how human food works, but what can you do, Burns?
Oh yeah.
That was another thing that like I wrote down, and I was like, why is she always referring to herself as Burns? Like, have you ever once in your inner
That makes me think
monologue-
about The Simpsons every time too, because the bad guy, the one that is in charge of the nuclear plant, his name is Burns, or Mr. Burns.
Oh,
So she's
really?
like, "Come on, Burns," and I'm like, like every time.
But every time I heard it, it was just like, what if I just thought that in my head, like, come on, Petrie, do this today. Like, it's such a weird- like, have you ever once been about your day and like, all right, Stetler, get it together?
No.
Yeah, no.
I used to call myself Hildahead sometimes. Like, God,
I was
get
2
through your
years
whole
old
head.
when I learned this. You've never said that to me ever.
Yeah, I used to think, well, I had a friend who used to call me Hildahead. So every once in a while, like if I did something stupid, I'd think to myself, God, get it together, Hildahead. 'Cause that's what she did. She used to call me that. Because my last name's Hildebrand, so, or it used to be before I got married. So
Yeah, if ever I'm having a moment like that, I usually just call myself Ninny.
oh, that's so cute.
Like, because it works on both levels, like
Yeah,
cotton-headed
cotton
ninny muggins.
ninny.
Yeah, cotton-headed ninny
The
muggins.
cotton-headed nitty
But,
muggins.
the kids that I nanny, when Wyatt was a baby and he was growing up, and he couldn't say Tiffany, and so he just started calling me Ninny when he started talking, and then it was like a name that just kind of stuck, and now they all call me Ninny.
How come Pestilence is in human form, but he doesn't have to eat or shit? How does that
Right,
make
but
sense?
he-
Like, God
but he
made it so he
can.
didn't have to go duty in his pants.
And I don't feel like that's an issue with the future horsemen. Like, they still like have their like human needs. I feel like maybe Laura Thalassa was like figuring it out. Maybe her horseman rules in this one, where it's like, oh, I'm a human, but I'm also magic, so I don't have to.
I'm also magic.
I think, like, literally, I think you can open this book to any random page and find like a funny quote.
Oh, we have so many quotes, guys, for a little bit. For in a little bit. We have so much planned for you. There's gonna be some real laughter.
Like,
do you need to go throw him a sausage or something?
no, you just. If there's somebody walking outside, he's like one of those dogs that will not stop barking until they're like, not on my land.
That's one of my favorite references that you do. That was from A Tall Tale, guys.
Tall tale.
With Patrick Swayze.
And
Oliver Platt.
And Scott Glenn. And
I love Oliver Platt.
my God.
Little pimple.
This sash was a gift to me from the Queen of America.
I think that Oliver
God,
Platt
that
is
good.
so underrated. He
is.
Stopped making movies.
He's so funny.
Do you know where else he's really funny from? I don't know if you've seen this, but Lake Placid. You ever seen Lake Placid? It's oh my God, he's so funny in that. He's like an alligator guy. I don't know. Yeah, you've got to watch it.
Did you see Casanova with Heath Ledger?
Oh my God, like when it came out. When did it come out? I remember thinking it was so underwhelming.
I actually thought it was very cute. I actually really liked it. And it's kind of like one of my comfort movies when I just kind of need like a cheesy, cute movie. And Heath Ledger is like really hot. But Oliver Platt is in that, and he is so funny. He's so funny in that.
You know where else I really liked him? Simon Birch.
Oh, that movie's so good.
Oh, I love that.
Aww.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I cry at that part every time, and it's so weird. I love that movie. But Oliver Platt with the peas. You remember when he's scooping the peas on his plate? And he's like talking while he's doing it, and he just like gets in this motion, and he's got this giant pile of peas on his plate, and he doesn't realize he's still scooping.
My favorite is him as Porthos, though, like in Three Musketeers. If you've never seen that, like, you gotta watch that movie. Rochefort. Isn't that a spilly kind of a cheese?
I love that movie so much.
It's
It
so
always
good.
holds up. Oh, and it's
It
got
holds
Tim
up.
Curry as the
And
villain,
Kiefer
and it's got
Sutherland and
and young
Chris O'Donnell.
Chris O'Donnell, like right when he was like
He's
the
a baby.
sexy- oh, he's so little.
And Charlie
But-
Sheen too.
Oh yeah, he
He is
forgot about
Aramis.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a great fucking movie.
And it really holds up too.
I love some of that like 90s cinema with the explosions. Oh, it's my favorite. Oh my
Only a
god, we're
fool
way
tried
off
to
topic.
arrest us twice in one day. You are under arrest. A fool.
A fool. Well, you gotta do. Okay, if we're talking about Oliver Platt, we're talking about Three Musketeers. You have to do D'Artagnan. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. We'll get you, D'Artagnan! D'Artagnan! Down his head!
D'Artagnan!
Get you, D'Artagnan!
Oh, I saw that movie and immediately had a huge crush on Chris O'Donnell. I was like,
Yeah,
who's this
we all
cute
did.
guy?
Yeah.
And then he made Batman and Robin, and he was doing like weird stuff, and I thought he was the hottest guy ever. And then I rewatched that a couple months ago, and I was like, this movie is the weirdest fucking movie. Like,
Which one?
so weird. Batman and Robin.
I don't know if I've actually seen it.
With Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr.
Yeah,
Freeze
I've not watched that one.
and George Clooney is back. It's hilarious. It's the best. And Uma Thurman is the best Poison Ivy. She's so good.
We could just go on and on about we are the sidebar. Welcome to
It's
After
time
Dark.
to freeze. That's Arnold.
The other day we were watching something, Wyatt and I go, "Hasta la vista, baby," and they looked at me like, "What did you just? What is that?"
We have to get to the chopper. To the chopper.
Get to the chopper.
Get out, there's a bomb in there.
That Christmas movie, the Jingle All the Way. He's like, the live action doll that says "Double Time." I got it.
Dash and dance in France and Mexico, but Cuba, He's running down the road. Dash and dance. Sinbad is so funny in that movie too. Sinbad. I fucking love Jingle All the Way. We watch that every year. It's like one of my favorites.
Oh my god! Oh my god! My glasses are fogged up.
Oh my gosh! I worked out on that vibration plate today. You know, the one that jiggles your muscles. Just jiggles your fat ass into losing weight. And now my stomach muscles hurt. I put it right in front of the TV when Jared's watching the game. I was like, how does my ass look big? Oh. Yeah. It jiggles you to success. Stop laughing.
That was the most random segue I've had.
Well, the reason it's because I'm laughing and my stomach hurts because I worked out so much on my vibrating plates.
I worked out on my vibrator too, but it wasn't like that. After dark. Oh god. Where even were we? I don't know.
Okay, here's a note. God. Here's a note I've got. He brings her into residential homes and makes her watch people die as a punishment. For trying to save humanity. If you want my pity, prepare to be disappointed. No mercy.
Well, and it's very counterproductive because he's over there being like, humanity is not redeemable. You're all just pieces of shit. And she's like, save them, and he's like, no.
Will you stop that? No.
Like, she's like literally showing him like how merciful or whatever humans can be, and he's just like, y'all suck. There's not anybody good with any of you.
That was a great sentence. There's not anybody good with any of you. You're all a bunch of heathens. Oh,
You've got me verklempt.
Verklempt.
My stomach muscles already hurt just from laughing so hard just then.
You didn't even need the vibration.
I did it.
One thing I really loved about Pestilence was that although like he's been watching humanity forever, he still talks like he hasn't been. Like he's still like confused all the time. Like he's always confused about even the simplest of things, like a baby. Like a baby sometimes.
Yeah, and like he like goes into the bathroom with her and she's like a little privacy, and he's like, I don't understand what you mean. You have human duties to do. Now do it. And she's like, my hands are tied up. I need you to help me unbutton my pants. He's like, would that help? And she's like, yeah. And he's like, well, then I won't do it. Suffering is for the living.
I'll tell you what he says. He says, okay, pee where you stand. That's one thing that he says. She says, I have to pee. And he goes, pee where you stand, human.
Also, how weird was it? I thought it was like, I know what she was going for to try to like bring some like lightness into there, but it just came across as just like the weirdest thing to me. The Rob Ruth thing, the old couple that they go in and they're just like cool, and like they knock on the door and he's like, who is it? And she's like, it's one of the horsemen, dear. Come on in. You look afraid. Come on in. And he's like, no, one of the horsemen. She's like, yes, dear, I promise.
Like, hey, and then she jumps.
Stay for dinner.
And then right after, like, she jumps right into a bath with him. Literally right after he buries the wonderful old couple he just slowly murdered.
They were so nice to him and like, oh yeah, come on in. And she's like, for the love of God, like these are beautiful people. They're kind, they're sweet. They've given us hospitality. Like, you're still gonna kill them? And he's like, well, yeah. And she has to watch them.
That's my job.
But they're like also not mad about it. They're like, well, it's okay. We've lived a long life. Oh, I'm dying. My body is erupting with like oozing sores, but I'm totally fine with it. Like, we've lived a long life, and thanks for coming to stay, horseman.
Oh yeah,
like,
there are worse ways to die than this excruciatingly painful long process.
Is there?
No, I guarantee.
I don't know, that whole thing was so weird to me. And they're like, well, what can we make you for dinner? And then like talking at them, like they're like
anchovies,
a cute couple, and she's
like a can of Worcestershire sauce. Or can.
Old lady Ruth is like, now, how did you two meet? And she's like, oh, I lit him on fire. I tried to kill him. And she goes,
like,
goodness.
How troubling.
Yeah. I bet there's more to that story.
Yeah, his like logic sometimes just had me cracking up. Like, he literally shoots Sarah. Like, she's running away from him, and he literally shoots her with a bow and arrow. Like, goes right through her chest, right? And then he bandages it, heals her, and says, remember my kindness. It's so savage.
It's very Stockholm syndrome-y. Yeah.
Oh, that's a question that kept popping up in my head. Like, do you think that's really what happened to her? Like, the worrying of, oh, but he's so hot, and he has a huge penis. But also, he's killing everyone. What should I do?
Yeah, when like it says at some point, she kind of was like, oh, he actually hates this as much as I hate watching it. Because he's actually like so sensitive or whatever, but I don't know.
He like forces himself to watch it, or he doesn't. He's trying to force her to watch it, but it starts to get to him.
Yeah.
After a few times, he's like, I don't like this part. Like, I don't like watching them die. I usually just like ride through the town and then go to the next one, you know? Or city, massive cities. He actually travels all the way down the coast of America.
And in Canada.
The West Coast.
They start in Canada.
Yeah, well, he starts in Canada, but then he gets into the Americas after that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like California, that area, down the West Coast.
So the whole book, okay, he's hurting her, healing her, bringing her back to life so that she can be hurt some more. But then at the end, when she's also mortally wounded, he's like, takes her to the hospital and he's like, heal her immediately. And they're like, no. I'm like, why isn't he able to heal her? Like, this whole book, he just has his super healing powers. And now all of a sudden he's not able to heal her.
When was this? What had happened to her? She got
at the very
shot?
end of the book, she got shot.
With a shotgun, like point
With
blank, like boom.
Like your chest just explodes. And
okay,
and
first
he's
of all,
like,
you wouldn't survive that. The only reason that she did survive that is because when she was dead already, she went to the other side and met Thanatos, or
the Death Horseman.
The Death Horseman. And she says, I'm not ready to leave him. I want to go back to Pestilence. Like, let me go back. And he's like, oh, I don't know about this, Missy. And she's like, oh, come on. And he's like, I'm entertained because I'm mysterious and I'm Thanatos. And so he just puts her back in her body. And she's healed. She's whole. And the only reason that happened was because death intervened.
But she wasn't even healed, though, because she wakes up in the hospital and she still has like months of healing. And then he says that that's why he like stalks her for months after she leaves him, because he's like, you were still healing and I needed to keep healing you. So it's like,
oh, I see what you're saying.
Like the healing
maybe
powers
it's not instant. It's not instant.
But it was in the beginning. So like the healing powers were just like really inconsistent is basically what I'm getting at.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. It was a little bit. It was a little plot holy there.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, a shotgun blast though is pretty fucking detrimental, I would think. I mean,
one would surmise.
I mean, have you seen The Walking Dead? They just pop into a million pieces. Did you like the audiobook narrator? How'd you feel about the narrator?
I actually really liked the narrator for the audiobooks. I thought she did a really good job, and I liked her kind of quiet man voice.
Oh, I know. She's good as like the male characters. Sarah.
Dear Sarah.
Dear Sarah.
I love you. Can't you see that?
Your human sense of propriety is absolutely ridiculous.
Cease your talking, human.
So I was kind of disappointed that she didn't have a Canadian accent, because I think that would have been fun. And I do want to say that
that would have just been ridiculous. Like, is whole boy serious?
Exactly. Exactly. Like, it would have been so much better.
You're such
like
a creeper, eh?
You're such a creeper. You saw my vagina.
Oh, just the way that she says stuff like that. Like, my vagina and boobs are on full display and he's seen them. Oh my god. The horseman of the apocalypse has seen my vagina. She actually says this, guys, okay? Like,
oh, I will say that about the narrator. Did you notice this? The way that she says the word rip? Like when you're tearing something? In all the books, like if the horseman tears something or she tears something, she says the word rip, but she goes rip.
I did definitely not noticed that.
Oh, she does. She goes, yeah, she
never
doesn't
noticed
say,
it.
no, she'll say like, he ripped my clothing. Every time she does it.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't notice.
I've made a note of it for every book she does it, the narrator. And I'm like, that's hilarious that she just like creates that noise. And I think it actually kind of sounds like a frog. Anyway, I like the narrator as well.
Yeah,
I thought
I
she
like
was
her voice.
very pleasant. I feel like I've
And I
heard her
liked-
on another audiobook too. I need to like look into her a little bit.
I liked that it was the same narrator for all 4 books too.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, she stayed.
It really, really bothers me when it's a series and they switch the narrator.
Well, I would understand it for a series like this though, because it's kind of anthology-esque.
So good.
So good. No, but even their horses can walk on water. Like they can ride across the water like Elsa. I did think it was hilarious that he always said the word up to her, like she was a toddler to get on the horse. He was like, up. I was like, oh, like when you lift your arms up when the little kid's like, up.
That's so funny. That's so funny.
I also made note of the fact that he kissed her right after she vomited at one point, just like in I'll Be Home for Christmas. That's what I immediately thought of. I was like, oh, Jonathan Taylor Thomas and Jessica Biel and I'll Be Home for Christmas. Because she kisses him right after he vomits, or is it the other way around?
Something like, I think she vomits, yeah. Not even the corn had such big ears. One part of the book that was like giving Tamlin a little bit was when he locks her in the mansion and like puts thorns around everything so she can't get out.
That's
and she's
famine.
like, nope. Well, I mean the thorns, yeah, but like Pestilence does it at the end of the book too. Like he puts walls up around the mansion that they're staying at. Yeah, and he she's like, I'm leaving you, and he's like, no, you're not. And he's like throws her over his shoulder, like throws her in a bedroom and locks the door. And she was like,
he's like, you're not leaving me. What?
and instead of even being, but she's just like, that motherfucker. Why did I even tell him I was leaving? God, you're an idiot, Burns.
Well, I think part of the reason was because she was really hurt too at the time.
Yeah. But
he was like, no, I have to keep healing you. Like you're not going anywhere.
Well, and I think at that point of the book, they had also like gotten it on already. So he's like, we're basically together. And she's like, I can't do this anymore. Like, he's like, but you've promised yourself to me. Like, you gave your body to me.
Like, we're getting married.
And she's like, is homeboy serious? Does he not get that was just like a one-night stand basically because he's hot? And that
because she was like, that wasn't like love. Like, we were just fucking. And he was like, that was not fucking. Like, he got really fucking mad. He was like, no.
And she's like, well, what would you call it? He's like, well, what is it called when it's not fucking? And she's like, making love. Like, yeah, that's what it was. And she's like, no, it was not.
He was like, what? I was inside of you.
You gave yourself to me. And then kind of like slut shames her afterwards. And he's like, wait, have you done this with another human before? And she's like, yeah.
Yeah, lots of times.
And his reaction, he's like, oh, I should have known, you human filth slut.
I love how like the author plays on the desires that women have like deep inside of us to be so intense with like our partners. Like a woman's goal is a guy. I wrote this down this note. A woman's goal. A guy who likes her rambling and listens intently to every word she says and gets concerned or annoyed if she's not constantly talking his ear off. Like if she stops talking, he's like, Sarah? Sarah? Why aren't you talking? Like, I love it. There. Keep going. Like,
I'm
like
so
guys aren't like
fascinated by
tuning you
you.
out. Like guys don't tune you out.
Well, they
Like,
don't
yes,
have
they fucking
like.
do.
Well, here's the thing: Trixie Scales doesn't have the skill of having a radio, so all he's
Or
got
like
is Sarah.
I always think about that quote from the Vampire Diaries that Damon says about Caroline when he's like,
uh-huh.
she talks more than I can listen. She talks too much. Like, I can't fucking listen to everything she's saying. Like, my brain's like overloaded with information.
Oh, Damon. Dear
And
diary.
I love that she went back, that Sarah like went back to the tried and true method to get Pestilence to listen and loosen up, which is just getting him drunk.
Yeah.
Like, here, just take some whiskey and we'll fool around a little bit. But she's
His
constantly
massive
worrying too,
manhood.
like, how can I be with him? His Pestilence, but also look at his body. He's got Pestilence also has all of these shining, glimmering, magical golden tattoos that are holy symbols from God, marking his skin all over his body. This like Viking god, basically, all tatted up with these shiny, glittery, golden tattoos that women are going to be like, "Wow, I just want to touch them." And they're like, "What does this mean?"
I will say that in all of the books, the times where the angels are like speaking in tongues, it is just the most hilarious thing to me. And it sounds
oh my god,
weird. The angelic language, but it sounds like that. And as people who were raised in the evangelical church, when people just started spouting off speaking in tongues, it really just gave that for me.
Well, it all means something what they're saying, but you're like, this is just like a made up like.
But it's also just made up. So just like, oh, can we also talk about how through most of the book, Pestilence doesn't know how human things work, like going to the bathroom or eating.
But he's been just watching humanity since the beginning of time, but he has no idea how any of this stuff works.
Right, but then they have sex one time and he's like, well, what if you are pregnant? Isn't that how it works? Like, we didn't use contraception. Like
and she's like, oh god, can I get pregnant by you?
And he's like, well, I do everything else that a human does. It's like, do you though? I don't.
No, you don't shit or eat.
But apparently he can ejaculate just fine.
Oh yeah, he can ejaculate, but he doesn't have to. he can also eat, but he doesn't have to, and he can sleep, but he doesn't have to. He needs no sustenance.
Obviously, dear Sarah.
How about his name that he picked for himself? Because
Victor.
How do you feel about that name? I was kind of like,
It was a little on the like.
What would you pick?
What would I pick for
him?
Pestilence?
Yeah. Kroll, the Warrior King.
Oh, that's funny. I don't know, but not Victor.
Not Victor. Just I was like,
And then he's like, oh, because I'm basically still a conqueror and I'm conquering you. Isn't a victor also described as that? So it's like not even a name. It's just like a verb. Or like a...
I would pick like Hans. Or
Matthew.
Matthew. What's a strong Canadian mountaineer name? The Mounties. Dudley.
Dudley
no. Do-Right. Isn't that's a Canadian Mountie, isn't it?
Yeah, but he's not a Dudley.
I don't know. Or something biblical.
Yeah, well, Matthew is biblical.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, or Philip.
I could see him being a Philip, just prancing around on Trixie Skills.
Okay, I've got a note here. I'll go ahead and read. Talking to Pestilence, pleading with him, trying to show him the redeemable traits and humanity is useless. But what gets him in the end is every woman's dream. Okay. What gets Pestilence to come to heel in the end? The one thing that gets him to come around is woman's oldest trick in the book, the silent treatment. And not only does the silent treatment work, it gets him to change everything about himself that is awful. The writer really knows and understands women well, capitalizing on the fact that women crave to change a guy who is astronomically out of their league from a bad guy into a good one with sex, affection, love, and of course, subtle manipulation. The wet dream of every bored housewife. Not only does he give up his crusade, an entire life's purpose, but gives up his immortality like Hercules for Meg. Brilliant psychology applied to smutty writing. It's addicting. Can't get enough.
I fucking hate the silent treatment. I don't care which end it's coming from.
That's right. You don't like the communication trope, the miscommunication.
Miscommunication, silent treatment. Like, it's just so juvenile to me. I fucking hate it. Communication is hot. I'll die on that hill.
Yeah, except she's like, okay, well, I'm not going to stay with you because you're going to kill everyone. And
But there's a
be
different
you and me.
okay, but
lame.
that's not the silent treatment. That's her just like drawing a boundary in the sand and sticking.
It's kind of the silent treatment. She did give him the silent treatment in the room. She's like, I'm not talking to you. I'm not going to tell you my poems and my stories, and you love that I talk so much. Like, it's like she's like cutting him off completely. You know
like,
what I mean?
I guess I'm just not. I'm not like that kind of catty cliche stuff. I'm not about it. In fiction or real life, there's nothing that gets under my skin worse than the silent treatment.
But obviously, the theme of this book is we're coming to a close. Towards the end, we're going to get into our 1-star reviews, our quotes, our final thoughts and rating, our group rating. But the final lesson of this book is the word mercy. We end with a word to represent the lesson God was supposedly trying to teach Pestilence through Sara Burns, which is to be merciful. Pestilence.
Pestilence.
Pestilence. A mercy. Mercy. Understanding the word mercy, which he didn't understand from the very beginning to the end. And everything that happens with Sara kind of brings him around to it, and he just gives up. He gives it all up. He says, I'm not going to infect anybody. He heals everybody that he started to infect at the end. At the end, she leaves him. She says, I'm not going to be with you. And he just relents and says, fine, I can't keep you here. I can't bear it to see you so upset. And he lets her go. He heals everyone. And then he gets with death. He talks to Thanatos and gives up his godlike abilities, his purpose to become human, and then goes back to Sara and proposes to her, and they decide to get married. And that is where we end in Pestilence. And 5 years passes before the second horseman, War, appears in year 10 of the Horseman. The Horseman. And that's where we're left at the end of this book. Juicy, smutty, funny, great. I loved it. I obviously thought Sara's character could have been less obnoxious. But in general, I couldn't wait to pick up the second book. I was like, when it was over, I was like, man, I want to get to War. Like, what's going to happen? Oh, I just had a feeling that it was going to be great.
War is, I mean, okay, well, maybe we'll get into the stars that we gave it. But I did like it better as I went on. Like, the first half, like, Sarah's definitely the most annoying, and it definitely gets better in the second half. And I mean, I love a good enemies to lovers trope for sure.
Or like a slow burn romance. Like, it takes them a really long time to get to the sexual parts.
Yeah. It was one of those where it's like, oh, you really could have delved deeper into the XYZ of things, but like it's a fun read. And for me, just it would have been a lot funner if Sarah just wasn't so fucking annoying. But
oh, dude, how hot was the sex though? The sex is hot.
The sex
in
is
this
good.
book.
The sex is
It's.
good.
I mean, they're very well written. Like, I don't know. There's something really enticing about the man being the virgin, because I feel like the virgin thing is a trope in romance more than it is in general romantasy and stuff. But in romance, a lot of the times, especially like historical romance, Regency romance, those kinds of books, the girl's always a virgin. The man usually is not. So like that, kind of like twisting that around to like you have to teach them to experience.
And like Outlander
pleasure.
is like that too, because Jamie's
That's
a virgin.
hot. Yeah,
So
Jamie's
good.
a virgin, and it's so sexy because there's something about like I'm the one with the experience.
Well, and at one point it's almost not comical, but just like when when he first gets inside, he's like, "Oh my god, this is amazing!" like he can't even believe it. He can't even believe it. He's like, "I've never felt a sensation like this before. I don't know." And she's like, "Yeah, I know. Just keep doing it."
And he's like, "What? Oh, what's happening? Oh, what's happening to me?" Like he has no idea that he's even gonna like explode.
Oh my god.
Like he does explode with pleasure. An explosion.
This is the perfect story to tell on After Dark. So a few months ago at work, they got a puppy.
Okay, where's this going? This is the perfect moment to talk about a puppy.
Oh, well, Tater discovered a part of himself recently. And the rocket, but I've never seen. He was going to town on one of his toys. He was just humping the shit out of it. Like, just, I've never seen a dog so aggressively hump anything. I mean, he was just like, like he was pumping away. And I've never seen anything like this. His whole penis was out of him, like the whole rocket, but he's not been neutered, so the balls are there too. And it got stuck outside. His penis got stuck outside of him when he was
you didn't have to touch it, did you?
No, but he like stood up and he was just like, "What's happening? I don't know what to do." And I'm like, "I don't know what to do either."
Ew, gross.
And he was just like,
"Why is this the perfect time to tell this story?"
Well, it's a weird. Well, well, you were talking about a boy virgin, and I don't know. It's just like I had to see it, so I feel like I just needed someone else to be in the story with me. He figured it out, but I was like, I feel like it traumatized him, and he didn't try doing it again after that.
Well, Pestilence did not feel that way, and he was like, "Let's do it again."
Sarah, I'm inside you. She's like, "Yeah, I know. Keep going."
He's like, "No, but like I'm a part of you. This is like intimate."
Which again, like you were pointing out, is usually like the girls' move is like, "Oh my god, you're part of me, and we were one," and you know.
Well, I know, but there's something like, I don't know. There's just something that reacts with you when you're reading it. It's like, whoa, what's happening? It's really nice. I liked it.
Oh man, I've not gotten laid in a long time.
Ooh, I'm sorry.
I know. It sucks.
Well, Tater's available if you want to.
Ew, no. You made it weird. You made it weird. Too far. Too far. Quotes?
Quotes. I have a favorite quote. This is a quote that I liked. The rest are funny. So this is the only one.
I wasn't sure if we were doing favorite quotes or not. I didn't really even pay attention to it.
Well, the only reason is because like I was like, oh wow, that's a really great observation. And that's why I wrote it down. But really there's not a lot of deep thoughts in this book. It just like randomly came up and I was like, ooh, I'm gonna note that. But in reference to having a sexual encounter with someone you wouldn't usually choose to have sex with, you know what I mean? Like somebody you wouldn't normally pick, but like that night you did. on page 184.
That's how I accidentally got my last relationship.
This is Sarah's thoughts about her first, as they're about to like have sex for the first time. This is her thought about the situation because, you know, obviously she's worrying with herself, like, should I sleep with this guy? Like, he's killing everyone. You know,
a little
like,
problematic there.
yeah, it's a little, but you know, they've been together for a long time at this point, and shit's getting real. But she says on page 184, in her head, I've had plenty of those nights when you can't possibly move fast enough because the moment you slow the rush, you'll realize what you're doing is desperate and impulsive, and you really think the other person is annoying, but you just want to feel the press of their skin against yours, so you will forgive it all in the morning. And I thought that was a really great, realistic take on a one night stand. Like, if you're ever like wondering, like, why do people do things like that? This is why. That's why. Because sometimes you just need to have intimacy. Sometimes you just need to have a human connection, even if that's not somebody that you're going to be with forever. Why it's okay and why it can be justified to sleep with somebody that you wouldn't usually think to sleep with.
Right.
Consensually.
Yes.
But that was the only favorite quote I have. The rest are hilarious. So she's actually she's a great author. I thought, even though like most of Sarah's thoughts are ridiculous, there are really moments of great writing in these books.
that is also very true. Like, I feel like this whole book was feeling out the horseman dynamic and like the female, because like I feel like Sarah's character was just a mess. Like, she's a firefighter, but she also loves Shakespeare, but she also is Canadian, and she also is like, oh my god, shut up. Like, Sarah doesn't make any sense as a character, and it doesn't make sense for Pestilence to fall in love with her. But I feel like maybe I'm alone in this, but like, if you're a mood reader and then you're reading a book that isn't your mood, things get to you or bug you that wouldn't normally get to you or bug you. And I feel like the first time that I listened to this book, I was just like, ugh. But then the second time I was like, oh, I don't know why I was as annoyed as I was, because like I didn't feel as bugged the second time I read it.
Definitely would recommend her if you like smut and you like good writing. I think that she is a great writer.
And Pestilence is the tip of the iceberg for the Horseman series. Like, War is my favorite one of the series.
See, I just love Famine. I just loved Famine. There was just something about, and I loved War, because if you guys don't know and you haven't read War yet, there's some Khal Drogo vibes going on there.
Oh, it's 100% giving Khal Drogo and the Dothraki horde.
And I loved that kind of like savagery. But also Famine is an asshole, and he's just so funny. I
can see why I like the War, because he is so savage in War, but when it comes to Miriam, he's very not that way, and he calls her wife, and like has like immediate like kind of like he's always calling her wife and love, and like, well, you're mine, you're meant for me, and like they like started out that way.
He's very romantic with
Miriam, very romantic with her, kind of the way that Khal Drogo is like, I'm gonna pour molten gold on your head, and I'll give zero fucks, but like when it comes to her, like, touch her and die, you know? Energy. Like, so I was vibing with War for sure.
Yeah, War is hot. But I also thought, they're all hot in their own way. So, I mean, if you love men and you love sex and you want some smut, these are great. These are just pure solid fun. I just had a blast listening.
I can see you liking
books.
Famine the best, because you're right, because he is a total fucking asshole. I'm too stubborn, because if I feel like if I was in the room with Famine, I would be like, I'm gonna hold out because you're a dick, and I'm just gonna hate you.
Oh my god, I thought he was so funny.
He's
was
very funny.
Yeah, he's very funny. And Death is his own character. Thanatos is special.
I thought it was interesting that he was the only one with a name.
Well, yeah, but there are so many names for
because like
Death.
he's Death, but like his name is Thanatos. Like he has a name.
Well, I mean, yeah. Well, he's got many. Remember when he says, "I have many names,"
right? But like that's his main one.
Yeah. So
even his horseman brothers.
There's something like really Greek about that. Thanatos.
I kept.
Okay. Yes. Oh, hold on. I've got 3 Pestilence quotes, and then I believe that we both have quite a bit of Sara Burns. I have 2 pages of Sara, cringy Sara quotes is what I call them. And we're just gonna rapid read them back and forth, and I'm so excited about that. But first, I want to get these Pestilence quotes out of the way. These are just stuff that made me laugh. Pestilence constantly made me laugh just because he talks like a caveman and also very sophisticated. It's just funny. But on page 87, come, he says. He grabs a towel from the rack and throws it at me. I don't manage to catch it in time, and a good portion of it hits the water. I know you've finished bathing, he continues, oblivious to the hostile look I'm giving him, and I'm eager to leave this latrine. I just love the word latrine, made me laugh. I was like,
it makes me think of Robin Hood Men in Tights. Like, you changed it to latrine? Yeah, it used to be shit house.
Okay, page 94. Human. He calls her human all the time. Human, you've piqued my interest. A rare accomplishment. Don't squander it. And on page 185, I cannot decide if you are a toxin or a tonic, he says, lifting a hand to my cheek. Only that you plague my thoughts and fill my veins. Okay.
Okay, here's a pet. He's not talking. It's towards the end, and he still has his tattoos, and she's like, they're still there, and he says, "Of course they are, Sarah. They can't just walk off me."
You know what I mean? He's so funny. Yeah. Oh my god.
But then, like right after that, he goes, she goes, "Earth has given you a smart mouth," and he says, "Earth has given me a smart woman, and she has given me a smart mouth." His hand goes to my breast, and I gasp as he kneads the soft flesh.
Page 226. What is it? Pestilence asks. We're in America, she says. Ah, America, he says with distaste. Here they are made particularly mean. The shade. The shade. I was like, what? Page 224, his frown deepens. I don't like this look, he says, studying my features. You lied to me with your face. Do you need more time? 3 days? 4? You shall have it. Only remove this sad, defeated look. I cannot stand it. The horseman pushes his hair back and stands. I need to attend to my steed. Entertain yourself in my absence.
Trixie needs to be serviced. Oh
god. That was so fun. Okay. Cringy Sarah quotes. We're gonna rapid read them back and forth. Tiffany has hers, I've got mine, and we're just gonna go to it. Do it.
You want to start?
No.
Okay. Someone saw me topless. My eyes slide to Pestilence, who's staring at me passively. It was probably him, which means he's now seen both my vagina and my boobs.
All we need are some assless chaps and a paddle to round this party out. But I doubt Pestilence has that sort of suffering in mind. Probably for the best. I don't think it's appropriate to hate bang the guy you just tried to kill. At least not the first night.
He's looking at my lady goods, which are on full display.
Good one, horseman. You really got me by the tits this time.
I may be the one Canadian who can't stand the cold. Everyone else is like, hey, look, I can see the sun today. And even though it's cold enough to freeze water, by God, I think that this is t-shirt weather. Meanwhile, I'm what happens when a human and an ice cube have a baby.
I can't rapid read it. It's too funny. I'm feeling a little weird towards him. I don't know whether it's good weird or weird bad. Probably weird bad.
I'm free. Holy freaking shitballs, I'm free.
Shitballs. Holy shitballs.
It makes me think of The Good Place, but they can't swear, so she's doing like, holy forking shirt balls.
I love that show.
So good.
In regards to why humans eat, because it's fun and it tastes good. Well, except for my Aunt Millie's fruitcake. That shit tastes like a dirty asshole. But yeah, food tastes good.
Sarah's trying to figure out if like it's a curse or a mercy, and she goes, it's obviously a curse, you dumb bimbo. He ain't saving you to romance your ass.
My alarm roars with this horrifying giddiness. It's the same emotion I felt when I heard a rumor that Tom Becker, my high school crush, wanted to ask me out. Turns out he wanted to ask out Sarah with an H. Such is life. It just loves to kick you in the happy sacks. But for a blissful 24 hours, I felt like baby angels were fluttering around in my stomach.
All right. Because, oh my fucking God, I shot a man and lit him on fire. Even though I want to throw up that I could do that to anyone, even a harbinger of the apocalypse.
I know she's always saying a horseman of the apocalypse. Like, she's always saying like those words.
Yeah.
Or a harbinger. Is it harbinger or harjinger? Or how do you fucking say that? Harbinger?
Harbinger.
Wow, I was not even close. Harbinger?
Harbinger.
Harbinger. My heart hurts again. This man is so much worse than all the other men I've ever known. And yet I feel chafed raw by him.
No.
Oh my God. I never want to feel chafed raw.
No. Never good luck.
My nipples.
My
nipples are chafed. Oh.
Okay. Hey, Pestilence. I need to use the shitter.
Just say shitter. I can't even say this. I close my eyes and breathe him in. He smells like cheap soap. And beneath that, divinity.
Smell like divinity. What does divinity smell like? Is it like lavender and sage or like cherry blossoms?
Oh god. Oh.
Okay. Oddly so? A woman should not be oddly pleasing. She should be a ball-busting, skull-crushing, badass motherfucker who's impossible to forget.
I feel the horseman's fingers playing with my hair, the sensation making me want to lean into the touch. I'm a sucker for head scratches.
You know, he could really lube us up for entry instead of just shoving shit at us like that.
Oh my god, I can't breathe. Okay. Ooh, ooh. Okay. At least the owner made himself motherfucking scarce. Motherfucking is one word, by the way. Motherfucking scarce. He made like his titties to look like flotation devices, but the dude's got enough practical sense to get the hell out of town before the rigger comes a knocking. Literally.
All the while, his hand moves up and down my leg, up and down. By the seventh stroke, my nipples are fit to cut glass and my core is aching. My nipples often get fit to cut glass, let me tell you.
Do you know that when I typed that note, I accidentally typed grass? My nipples are hard enough to cut grass. And I was like, wait, that doesn't sound right. Like, I went back and reread it. And I was like, oh, it's definitely grass. It's definitely glass, not grass.
Did I typo it? I'm sorry.
No, it was me. I did it. Or like it was autocorrect or something.
When I heard that, I was like, that I have to write that down because like my nipples are so hard. Like, do you know how hard something has to be to cut glass? Like, no nipple has ever gotten that hard. Okay.
Or grass. Or can you see yourself trying to cut grass with your nipple? Just like sawing away.
What a practical ability. I'm just
awesome. Oh, we've discovered a new trade.
Okay.
Ooh.
Your turn.
This is her pretending to recite Annabel Lee by Edgar Allan Poe to check if Pestilence is listening. And so the banging chick Lenore died, and people apparently weren't super sad because she was the shit and they hated her for that. And now you want to kill everyone because we're all a-holes of epic proportions.
Okay. You've really latched onto that word, kindness. Kindness is chopping firewood for an elderly couple who has neither the money or means to acquire it. Kindness is a warm hug or a soft smile. Kindness is not this fuckery right here. She says fuckery a lot. Like, has anybody ever said that word?
Fuckery? No.
This motherfuckery.
Fuckery. No, it's not a common.
I said some fuckery afoot.
This conversation is quickly going from uncomfortable water to, and everything I say after this is all one word. Okay. In the writing. This is all one word. My vagina is mutinying. It doesn't matter that your sex on legs. Well, okay, maybe it does. A little, never mind. My vagina is cool with it. That's all one word.
Oh my god. Holy run-on sentence, Batman.
No, not run-on sentence. That's all one word.
Oh my god.
That's one word. My vagina is meaning it doesn't matter that your sex on legs. Well, okay, maybe it does. A little, never mind. My vagina is cool with it.
my god.
Too good,
Okay.
too good.
He's reminding me that it's a lonely world, and this homegirl hasn't gotten any in a long time.
It's cold enough to freeze my tits off.
I'm just spitballing here, but if I had to guess, I'd say the horseman ain't too familiar with human cuisine.
I ain't too familiar. Oh. Okay, I'm out. I don't have any more.
All right, I got one left. To be honest, I'm more baffled than anything else. I didn't get sexy time vibes from Pestilence, even though he was happy to prance around in his birthday suit.
Oh, man. So good.
I actually have one more that I did see. His mouth moves lower. Now too busy tasting my flesh to tell me all sorts of pretty things, which is probably for the best because my core is throbbing something fierce. And this is the very end, like when they like are coming back together, and it's like supposed to be romantic. And he's like, I like the sweeping love declaration. She's like, oh, thank God, like he's busy tasting my flesh, and I'm throbbing something fierce.
Something fierce.
He pushes into me, his cock thick. The pressure of it exquisite.
Stop. I didn't expect it to get so real. It got real.
Okay, so right after that, he pushes into me, his cock thick, the pressure of it exquisite. I can feel him everywhere. God almighty, he whispers. If I weren't feeling so damn emotional right now, I might have made some quip about not taking the Lord's name in vain. He learned that bad habit from me.
Fantastic.
God.
Oh yeah, she does not shirk with the language. I mean, cock, dick, throbbing.
Oh my God. So funny.
I mean, it's all there, guys, if you like it.
Oh,
This is the
okay.
book for you.
Oh.
Oh my gosh, you guys, we've come to the end, and you know what that means.
1-star reviews.
Okay.
Well,
Tiffany's collected them for this episode.
I have indeed. I have a few. They're pretty funny. Sarah says, admittedly, as someone that is not a fan of romance, this book was never going to be for me. However, I picked this up thinking that there'd be more emphasis on the horsemen of the apocalypse, which I knew I would love, but there really wasn't enough there to interest me. I also did really like the characters, but Pestilence goes from torturing this woman to falling in love with her in a matter of chapters, and Sarah is a donut. She's a donut. And she falls in love with him too, even though he's actively abused and tortured her. What the fuck, hard pass.
I love that term. She's a donut. What is that? Is that like she's got a hole?
Like a hole in her brain? Or she's... All right, Maddie says, now why did he have to kiss her after she puked?
I said that!
You did! You said it!
Yes,
You said it!
I did say that.
You said that. I thought you would like that one. Lindsay Darling says, look, I love Laura Thalassa. I really do. Her writing keeps it fun and light and immersive enough that I can read it for hours and think it's only been a couple minutes. But this one was just too problematic for me. It's basically the epitome of Stockholm Syndrome, and not in the Beauty and the Beast way we're all weirdly cool with. You've got Pestilence the horseman, who has taken narrator Sarah as his prisoner. He ties her to his horse and makes her run behind it till she can't anymore. And even then, he doesn't stop. He just drags her around on the ground. And yet every time they stop for the evening to stay in an abandoned/not abandoned home, she starts immediately commenting how hot he is and how she can't stop staring at his lips. And then this next part
Well,
is
I
all
mean-
caps.
He sounds pretty hot, though.
Sounds pretty hot. Even though he's literally killing every human they come in contact with and then some. He's spreading the plague, keeping her as a prisoner, and then all she can think about is banging him. Yeah, okay. Problematic beyond belief. Also, I'm no prude, but this narrator was just too crass for me. It served no purpose other than shock value. No, thank you. Lisanne said, turns out no personality is not my type.
I think he does have a personality. His personality is like caveman Viking.
Yes.
Virgin caveman Viking. That's his personality.
Yeah, right? Elle says, this book was so bad it left me speechless. The whole thing was a big cringe. The fact that it was written in first person present tense didn't help either. I really don't like books written in the present tense. Of course, I'm not reading the other books in this series. Enduring that level of cringe and stupid dialogues and characters would be torture.
Right? Yeah. I get it. You know, I get why people didn't like this one.
Oh, I mean, I do not disagree with everything said. Virginia says, be prepared to read, he's torturing me and horrifically killing thousands of people, but damn, those abs. Also, I'm a firefighter. in all its variations, over and over and over again. Hate. And last one. You're so funny. Last one, Rue says, I am just going to say no, please. That's my review. I kid you not, there could be a drinking game every time prisoner, please, or human is mentioned in this book. No plot whatsoever.
Human.
Just a snarky girl swooning over a guy, horseman, who is handsome but comes off as dumb. He is this mythical creature who literally has self-healing ability and can't even fight properly. Half of the time he was wounded. Isn't he supposed to be the bad guy who spreads plague? What's with the endless food supply of pasta and wine and bathroom scene? I seriously want to know who's providing them bandages and soap. Sara! I will find you and I will kill you for annoying the hell out of me. Also, Pestilence can't understand human emotion. But the moment they have unprotected sex, he warns her that she might be pregnant. I initially DNF'd around 53%. She says, I initially DNF'd at about 53%, but thought I'd give it another try. There might be a light at the end of the tunnel, but it was just a dead end. And then in quotes that she's speaking as Sara, I swear Pestilence could fart and I would find that enchanting.
Is that oh my god, there were so many notes. There were so many quotes that like you just couldn't even write them down, all of them.
Oh, I mean, they were just the whole book. Every other sentence was just like, cringe level midnight.
Okay, those were good. I liked those.
Those are really good.
Okay, final thoughts and rating. Go.
My final thoughts. This book is silly and fun. It's highly problematic, so just don't think about it and just enjoy it for what it is. Sara is a bit insufferable, but it's funner to hate, like have fun hating her instead of just like being mad hating her. Pestilence is cute. The spice is fun. It sets up the horseman world. I'm sticking with my original rating. It's like a 3 for me. Like it's fun, but it wasn't like and like the spice is fun and it kind of gets there towards the end, but even the spice is still kind of on the lower end.
Yeah, this is probably the
like
softest.
a 3.
This is the softest spice out of the 4 books. That's not soft at all. It's quite hard. Anyway,
His cock was quite thick.
It was quite thick and large. Okay, my final thoughts and rating. An engaging, smutty gem with brutally realistic descriptions of death and illness that creates a horror-esque narrative from time to time. The style of writing creates a sad, depressing environment that clashes with the overly crass and juvenile thoughts of Sara Burns. Her use of language is not cute or endearing, but rather obnoxious most of the time. But I still loved it. 4 stars from me.
It's like a 3.5 group rating then?
Right, 3.5, but on Goodreads, what are we going to do there? Up or down, up or down, up or down?
I mean, if it were me, I would downvote, but that's just mine.
We can go to 3. That's fine with me. So group rating 3 for Pestilence by Laura Thalassa. So stay tuned. Thank you guys for listening.
Thanks for joining us
to our
after
regular.
dark.
We've got the regular podcast. I'm sure you guys already know about that, but if you have any thoughts, questions, suggestions for After Dark, reach out to us at www.bookmatespodcast.com or through our email, bookmatespcast@gmail.com with any thoughts or suggestions or whatever you guys want.
Also, we're going to start to get into the dark romance because I don't think that either of us have really delved into that specific genre. So if you have some like gateway dark romances that you want to suggest, hit us up and let us know there too.
Oh, I'm here for it. And you know what? After Dark doesn't just have to be smut, guys.
Our general episodes will keep to something that most people would read, but for the darker side. We're so cute.
We're so cute.
Thanks for joining us after dark. And we'll see you next time after dark. Bye.